Hello and welcome to On Pointless. I'm your host, Curt. Our intro question for this week is, what item do you consider a necessity that most people would consider a luxury? And this was submitted by Chara. Stefan?
Dishwasher, hands down.
Because you don't want your hands wet.
Okay.
Chara?
I would say toilet paper. I do not want to live without toilet paper.
And Tron?
Yeah, I'm going right for car. Could not live without a vehicle.
And me personally, I'm going to go with cleats. I play a lot of sports, and not having cleats would really suck.
Can I just say that I think toilet paper is a necessity.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that when she said it, and I thought, you know what? She loved her own answer so much. Oh, she's got her hand up.
Fine, I'll do laundry machine. I'm not going to do laundry by hand ever, but I'll do dishes by hand.
That's completely fair. I agree with that 100%. I will never use a washboard.
Yeah, that would be like an 8-hour day I could never get back and never want to do again.
There we go. Laundry machine.
Fair enough.
So on to our first question of the week. How many times do you think you would have to watch a 90-minute movie before you could recite it entirely from memory?
Ooh.
This would take me forever.
Oh, you have a terrible memory.
Very terrible movie. Oh, what if it's a silent movie? Then I don't have to know any lines.
Way to game the system, Chara.
Yeah,
Done.
we just duped the system into winning.
But no, for like a legitimate, regular movie, how many watches do you think it would take?
I'm going to say I've seen Anchorman probably about 40 times in my life, and I've probably got half that movie down. Like, pretty easily half that movie down. At the very least, I've got all the really funny one-liners in my head. I also used to recite them a lot to a guy that I used to work with. So I'm going to say like 100 times. Give me another 40, because I've already got some of them stored, and I could probably get the rest of them.
A comedy movie probably makes it easier because it has its beats and its funny moments that you can remember those scenes. Like, I feel like a movie like Ace Ventura, you could recite that easier because there's just scenes you have to remember and there's the jokes of the scenes. Pulp Fiction is a fantastic movie, but I'm not going to know that as well.
Hold up. Pulp Fiction is one of the most quotable movies I could possibly think of.
That's a very good point. But there's a lot of very quotable parts of it, but the little parts in between that would be very tough.
Well, that's exactly the trouble. With any movie, it's going to be the uninteresting parts of the movie that you're not going to remember. I think you need significantly more than 100 attempts. Secondly, if you were really trying, if this was your goal, I think you could do it in fewer. But if you're just learning through osmosis and you're not really trying to memorize as you go along, it would take you significantly more, I think.
That's a good point.
You may never do it.
If you're doing it intentionally compared to unintentionally makes a huge difference, I think. Because if you're doing it unintentionally, there's going to be like one small conversation where you're like, oh, I forgot about the bathroom scene. Ugh.
Yeah, doing it Tarantino movie, any movie with a lot of dialogue, because he does go really in depth with the amount of dialogue, and it's very specific to scenes. Like, I couldn't recite the entire end scene of Pulp Fiction with Jules talking to the guy who's robbing the diner.
On the plus side, Samuel L. Jackson still can do his famous like Bible quote, and it's awesome. Especially when he did it as like a 60-year-old man on a talk show. He's the best.
Yeah, he just busts it out whenever he wants to, basically.
It's a badass thing to say to somebody before you kill them.
Exactly.
Okay, I got another axis. If you were trying to memorize a musical movie, it would be significantly easier. In fact, I reckon there are many people who have actually already done this.
Yeah, like children's movies, Disney movies,
There
right?
you go.
It's kind of comedy. There's musical into it. It's a short movie. You know the story very well. All the scenes are pretty much always necessity.
When we were listening to Hamilton the musical back to back to back, I mean, that's a 3-hour musical. I word for word knew every single song in it. You would just have to remember the order. So you're right. A musical would be the second easiest type of movie after a silent film, as Chara so expertly pointed out. But yeah, personally, if I was to just take like a regular movie, I think I'd probably be around 100 times. 100 times is a lot to see a movie. I think I could do it at that point, provided it's a movie I liked. If it was a movie that you just didn't care about, it would be so much harder.
You think so? I think you would be more motivated to memorize it.
Because you'd just be focusing on, yeah, that could be true.
Like, I do not want to listen to this movie for the 47th time. I'm going to do it in 45.
If you were really trying, I think you could bring the minimum level down significantly. Like, if you're allowed to maybe practice in between attempts. You would set up like an Excel spreadsheet, like, okay, here's all the scenes. Which scenes am I missing? Which scenes do I have down? Which scenes do I need to focus on next watch? You could probably do it in like 10.
Probably be a lot easier if you had a script.
Yeah, if you wrote it down that way.
If you had to read it, then you could study outside of watching it. But this is just watching it. You're not allowed taking notes. You're watching a movie, sitting there, trying to learn all the dialogue.
Yeah, if you like taking notes, if you had a script, it would be so much easier. Like, I've been in a play before. Scripts aren't that hard to memorize. Mm-hmm. But then again, you're also going through rehearsals the whole time. But I agree. It would be a lot easier if you were trying to do it. So we've determined the easiest way to do this would be you were trying to do it. It's a movie you don't really like. It's a musical with jokes in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
somebody name me a comedy musical. What's a comedy musical that we can think of? Are we going straight for Disney at this point?
I know a movie I could do it easily with. Cannibal the Musical.
There you go.
Oh, that would be an easy one. Yeah.
I mean, I really like that movie, so it takes away the don't like it, but Cannibal the Musical would be the movie I would choose to try to remember and recite.
That's a high caliber. That would be useful, too, if you knew the entire movie of Cannibal the Musical. You'd use that all the time.
Let's build a snowman. We can make him our best friend.
Okay. I'm sure parents know the Frozen movie by heart now.
Oh, let it go.
If the world could only experience 1 month on repeat, including the weather and the holidays of that month, which month would you pick?
You made this so hard because you don't want to lose Christmas, but that's the absolute most heinous month for weather. Wait, what goes on in Southern Hemisphere? Do they celebrate Christmas in December?
Yes, they
with
do.
Everyone else?
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
In Australia, it's in the summer.
It's just summertime.
That's what you deal with, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess December, because it's not just Christmas, it's like most of the holiday or the big holidays for different religions are in December. So you've still got like all these huge celebrations.
That is true.
So if you were getting tired of celebrating Christmas every month, be like, I'm going to do Hanukkah this time around.
I'm going to go to -1 religious holiday, which is Easter, which is also the month I pick, which is April. It gets you in a sweet spot for weather, because it could be raining, it could be sunny, but I mean, it's a crapshoot that I'm willing to take, because either way it's going to be, here in Canada, it'll be like 12 to 17 degrees, something like that. And there's a long weekend, because you get Good Friday and Easter Monday. So it's a 4-day long weekend in the middle of the month, or the end of the month, depending on how it falls. I'm going to go April.
Well, would you be celebrating the holiday every time, or you just have the stat they had 1 day off?
You'd be celebrating the holiday. I mean, it's just the calendar.
Time loop?
Yeah, the calendar now exists, and it's 1 month long. So you just celebrate that month how you always would celebrate that month.
You wouldn't be celebrating with the same exuberance, though, as you would if you only had it once a year. I'm going to come back to Christmas. I think it would actually be terrible to have Christmas every single month.
You have to forget presents for everybody.
Capitalist nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great for the economy. I mean, Boxing Day would be interesting. It'd be like, well, we're 1 month from Christmas on Boxing Day. You'd be ready to go. And it would also be nice to end with New Year's, because there is the 1 month, so it'd be like, New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day.
Yeah, but you don't actually get the New Year's Day.
Yeah.
It happens on December 31st every month.
That's true. It's just like New Year's Eve and back to work. What are you talking about? It's December 1st.
Oh, man.
I feel like...
Take it all back.
Thinking of that makes me wonder if the Who's in Whoville were actually just miserable, because I feel like their entire life was just like the month of Christmas.
I don't remember that enough.
Well, they don't show like the rest of the month in the book, right?
True.
They probably lead normal lives.
I think the Who's in Whoville constantly celebrate Christmas as if they're children. So my argument would be, don't we all kind of like start downplaying Christmas as we get older? And then if you have kids, it'll spike up again. But then it'll downplay again until you have, say, grandkids.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right? Like we don't celebrate Christmas the same way we did when we were 10. Christmas morning, you barely slept the night before because you were so excited. You ran downstairs as fast as you could. You were up at 6 a.m. like shaking your parents awake so you could open Christmas presents. Then you'd go like a madman on a sugar rush. But that's like now, like with families especially, like we have to travel. We have to go visit different families. Like my Christmas personally is a 4-day long event that is very tiring by the end because we've got, a couple of split families in there and we have to try and work everybody in, right?
Who's getting lunch? Who's getting dinner? We have to go to this distance. We have to go in here. Yeah.
I've always said that I love Christmas. I dedicate an entire 3-week holiday from work every year and I call it Curtmas around Christmas time. But of that entire holiday, the day I dislike the most is Christmas Day. I love Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve is my favorite day of the year, and Boxing Day is pretty good too. But Christmas kind of sucks as a day. Mm-hmm. I think if I was to pick a month, I would probably go with September.
I was going to say either September or May.
Is that because September is your birthday month?
Yes.
You would age incredibly
I would
quickly.
age incredibly fast.
To me, September is the sweet spot for weather. It's still hot from summer, but it's not too hot a lot of the time. There is a holiday in there, because why would you pick a month that didn't have a holiday?
I don't know. I think what holiday wouldn't be ruined?
Well, but Labor Day is just a day off, right?
Family Day.
Are those even real?
Well, I'm just saying it's a holiday, and you get an extra day off work.
Okay,
So every 4
sure.
weeks, you get a day off.
Y'all are working folks, I get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
The stay-at-home father. Who cares about holidays?
Yep.
But yeah, I like the weather in September.
Yeah, it's nice weather. It's still warm, but it tapers to cooler normally.
Why would you say May?
May's always been my favorite month.
Probably because that's when my birthday is. So.
No, before I met you, May 15th was my favorite day when I was a kid. Don't know why, but I always liked it. Always made sure I wore my special shoes and whatever new clothing I had. Go to school.
As a kid, you're kind of a month away from summer break at that point too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the last stretch before you're off school.
Yeah.
That's true. May was when school was at its best, because you could see summer coming, and you were just like, you weren't as stressed because you're like, just hanging out with my friends for one more month, and then it's going to be summertime. Because June's a write-off in school.
June is a write-off, yeah.
It's
Completely.
too hot when you're in school.
Yeah, in June, when you're sitting in the classroom.
Yeah.
It's probably especially for you because you were in Ottawa.
Yeah, in Ottawa, I was just kind of like, oh no, not a heat wave. Ugh. It was just like, you're just too hot. Being in a porta pack, ugh. Yeah.
Can we all agree that February would be the worst month for this?
Yes.
Why?
February is just a garbage month with garbage weather, and it's short, and it's just the worst.
Yeah, it's a very dreary month. It's like, okay, we've finished the Christmas celebration. January at least feels like every day's getting lighter, but February, you're like, it's still this weather? No.
Yeah, you're kind of in a perpetual state of gray in February. I'm agreeing with February, even though that is my anniversary month.
Mm-hmm.
I think January is worse, to be honest. I think it's just that, like, the length of the period of poor weather is pushing the blame onto February for you guys, but really January is the true culprit. Now, I want to point something out that really it's a terrible choice to not choose, like, one of the more temperate months, or else you're hosing half the earth.
That's true. It's going to be summer somewhere and winter somewhere else.
You just kind of have to deal with that, though. I mean, we're dealing with this as us, living in Victoria, British Columbia. Like, this is the month that we would choose, right? I'm sure it'd be different if we were in Spain.
Yep.
Right?
You got to understand that if it's always winter in the southern hemisphere, people are coming north.
That's true. We've just accidentally inflated real estate prices even more, which Victoria cannot afford right now.
Mm-hmm. There's implications to this, you guys.
There's implications. Implications, Jerry.
The thing is, California is always nice, though. People are always going to stick around in California. It doesn't really have many bad months, to be totally honest.
But don't pick the month where it's on fire, though.
If you could repopularize one genre of music, what would you pick?
Disco. I don't even like disco, but it sounds like it was a great time.
That was fast.
Yeah.
Going to the clubs and doing disco, that might get me to a club. Like, I always love the style. I love super flamboyant, over the top, like ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So I do like your decision to go with disco.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a music style that isn't as popular anymore.
Chamber music.
No. The perfect answer? Jock jams. I want to bring back jock jams.
What?
What are jock jams?
Pump it up. Pump it up, yeah. Like, terrible, stupid workout music from the 80s. Jock jams were so good. And all they would just say in the background was like, pump it up. And then there'd be someone screaming weird.
It is true. We don't have enough bad techno music that has random hip-hop artists just popping up in it. That doesn't happen anymore. But that was pretty much every jock jam was that.
Yep. And then it was just someone in the background, woo, woo, woo. Like, Ric Flair was in there singing in the background. You were working out to it. I want jock jams back.
Jock Jams was an album. It was like a collaborative album. But it wasn't really a style of music, though. Because it was just other songs that worked really well to pump up a crowd.
That's true, but I feel like there was like a specific type that like were the jock jams. Like,
I think there's enough genres out there today that you can give jock jams its own genre.
I think so. I mean, if you have like sub-acid classic metal rock, then jock jams exist.
True.
What is it with metal people where they have to come up with a million subgenres for everything?
That's because everybody decides to do something new with metal that isn't totally necessary, and then they name it something different. Which is why I'm going to go straight to bring Limp Bizkit back and bring back all of new metal.
Yes.
Oh, Limp Bizkit, like rock, rap, metal.
Hip-hop, metal, hip-hop, rock. I'm going to go straight to that. It was my youth. I still listen to Limp Bizkit on a unnecessarily regular basis, so to hell with it. Go straight back to it.
When it comes to Limp Bizkit, you got to keep it rolling.
Yes. Wow, this is brave conversation.
What, just Durston people?
Yeah, we're Durston. Man, okay. Well, jeez. What else could you want to bring back? As far as I'm concerned, like, there's enough people making music now that every genre of music still has people making music.
For sure, but it's not popular. Like, what was something that was popular that now no one listens to, and you're like, why don't we do that anymore? Like whatever Aqua did.
Yeah, like giant spikes in popularity where everybody was doing it, and then it just tapered off.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Because-
now it's mumble rap, right?
Mumble rap is big right now, yeah.
The mumble rap's just so good. Listen to me say the words. I'm gonna keep saying words. I'm not really saying any words. Diamonds, diamonds, cocaine. Mumble rap, that could be a hit.
Yeah.
Just put Lil in front of my name. Lil Curdy.
Yeah, that's actually how you make a hit in mumble rap, I'm pretty sure. Put it on YouTube, make yourself a video, call it a day.
This is gonna go on YouTube, so we'll see if my fame takes off.
Well, I've got a question for us. So you're lost in the woods, but you only get to have one item. What do you choose?
Tarp. I want a tarp.
Is it weird that the first thing I thought of was Shia LaBeouf?
Shia LaBeouf.
I'm going to go with yes. That is weird.
Okay, cool.
Why did you think of Shia LaBeouf?
Well, from that song. You heard that song?
No.
Anyways, we'll move on.
All right, I'm going to go straight to axe.
Then you could build a tree fort, like we discussed in the last episode, so that's probably pretty versatile.
Yeah, building a shelter, executing animals if need be.
Yeah. Because I read a book in grade 6 called Hatchet. I think it was based off kind of a true story, but not really, kind of fictionalization of it.
Inspired by a true story.
Inspired by a true story, I believe, of a guy, and he got lost in the north from a plane crash, and he had just an axe, a little hatchet, and he survived, a couple of months or something like that. He was only like 14 or something, but he had done like a Boy Scout course or something, and this was like back in the 60s when they actually learned some stuff.
I think that could be very useful. The reason I went with a tarp is I can still make a shelter with a tarp, and it's way easier because I'm lazy, and that way I wouldn't have to cut down a tree or do anything. I just string it up over top of me. If I want to collect water, I could collect rainwater in a tarp. Like, it seems like an easy way to do things that I could figure out. Whereas if you're like, hey, build some form of water collecting thing with an axe, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no use in the woods.
You need more than just water and shelter to survive, though.
I need food. I'm only one thing short. I just have to find the slowest bunny in the pack.
Yes, but the slowest bunny is still faster than you.
That's true. But not me and my tarp snare.
Yeah. Maybe a flare gun.
Just get out of there.
Just get out. I'm not going to survive.
Just hedge your bad slide.
Hedge my bets. I'm like, I'll either start a fire or someone will find me. Or someone will find me because I started a fire.
That's true. Fire's going to matter because you're going to want to be warm.
You need shelter.
But an axe at least gets you wood to make a fire with. Then again, if you give me wood, I have no hope of starting a fire.
Yeah, with no matches or flints.
Like, I've tried the, spinning a stick in a hole thing. It is impossible.
Yeah, it's a lot of friction that you need to create.
Well, what about, one of those kind of survival all-in-one multi-tools?
If it's like a Leatherman, just a tool that's everything's literally in one and not like a package.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think
a little
that's
Swiss
fair.
Army knife thing.
I think it still might be a little less useful than, just an axe.
That's probably true. But if you were there for a long time, at least you could clip your nails.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, no, I could see that. Then at least you have a couple different tools. The axe is probably your best bet just because you can make shelter, you can hunt.
You're like, how useful is a compass if you don't know where you are?
It depends how you got lost, right? I mean, a compass could be very helpful. At least with a compass, you would know that you were walking in the same direction. Because the best way on is to walk in one direction.
Which is how a lot of people get into trouble there, is they just start trying to follow one thing, but they end up just going in circles.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we trying to, live in the woods, or are we trying to survive until we can escape or
I'm just
help.
trying to have people find me because I'm not going to survive.
I think this is like day 3 of the Blair Witch Project, where you realize you're in deep and you're trying to figure out your way out, but you still have to survive. Minus the witch.
Okay. Well then, I don't know. An axe is more of like a long-term kind of tool.
That's true. An axe is to build permanent stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, short-term it's just good for hunting something. So it will be a short-term tool that would be useful to you.
I don't think an axe is really all that good for hunting things either. It's mostly good for building like a more permanent shelter.
You can throw an axe.
You can you can throw an axe.
I have thrown axes.
There
Accurately?
you go.
Semi-accurately.
Accurately.
Boo.
We'll chop that one.
Please do.
You can control how many years you live for, but everyone else has a normal lifespan. You have to choose now so you can continue to age appropriately. How long do you live?
80.
80.
Wow, you guys shot low there.
Yeah, I'd probably go like, I'm thinking like 180 to 200.
Yeah, but is your body's...
No, you're going to age appropriately to that age. So if I picked, say the average lifespan was 100 years, if you picked 200, then every 2 years would have the effect that 1 year has now.
Okay. Because I just didn't
okay.
want to be in an old, feeble body wasting away.
No, yeah. If it was like regular aging, I don't really want to live much past 80. But with this, you're aging normally. You just have a longer lifespan if you want it. But of course, the downside is if you choose to live to like 200, you're going to see everybody you know die. And you're going to be left alone after that to a degree.
And that's definitely what I do not want. I don't want to see all my loved ones pass away around me.
But you have to have your great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren.
That's true, but then I'd see their parents pass away, which were my grandkids, and I'd still be going on living past them. I would still shoot to a normal level.
Yeah.
I think I'd go for, like I said, like 180, 200. And all I would do to solve that problem is I would fake my death. So when all of the people that I love start dying, I would fake my death, go off somewhere completely different in the world, and then have this weird, crazy second life where, like, who knows what I'm going to do with it. Maybe I become an airplane pilot. Who knows? It's going to be completely different.
You make it sound real easy to just to fake your own death and leave the country.
Yeah, as like a equivalent of an 80-year-old or whatever it is.
Well, is it that difficult?
If you're aging appropriately,
Yes.
so say if you pick like 180 to 200, so at 90 to 100 years old, you'd basically be the age of, say, a 50-year-old.
Yep.
Oh my god, if you pick like 1 million, you'll be a baby for like just so long.
Like a dragon.
Yeah.
I get sure. No. Let's stay in reality here.
Sorry, yes.
You will be a baby for far too long.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is this kind of the weird kind of thing where whatever you choose, that's how long you live no matter what happens to you? So you could get like buried underground and live for a millennia.
Yeah, it's not one of those ones where you can just decide like, oh, I'm just going to jump off a building because I'm going to be fine. You could still be in a coma for the other 100
Oh my gosh,
years.
no, it's too risky. I might just choose 0. I don't want anything bad to happen.
0? So you just die?
Well, I could get trapped underground. That's a fate worse than death.
But that can happen already.
Yeah, but you die immediately if you get trapped underground. Just about. Is this morbid?
Well, I think it'd be interesting to see like how much technology would change. Like, how happy are you with the technology now? And do you just, like, want to know what's happening future in future? Because my grandma was talking about, remember when the milk guy had to tie up the horse to drop off the milk because it would spoil if it was in your house for too long?
I've always
And
found
nowadays, you know, I'm Skyping her across the country.
people that were born in, like, the 30s at this point have the most complicated lives. Like, old people grew up with sliced bread had not been invented yet. There was still a milk person delivering their milk on horseback to, I can download a podcast off of Apple. Like, you know, now the On Pointless podcast is on iTunes to download whenever you want or check out on Reddit or Twitter. When they grew up, none of those things existed. Like, they lived through World War II. That's a complicated life. Whereas for me, like, there's been change, but it hasn't been that much.
Yeah, you went from, like, a cassette tape to a CD to an MP3.
But further to your point, so if I get to live to 200, imagine the crazy technology I get. Not to mention, my second life is probably going to correlate with, like, the planet dying anyways. So I'm going to live that second half in Mad Max Thunderdome, and that's going to be fantastic.
I'll take Fury Road over Thunderdome.
That's fair. Fury Road is a really good movie.
It's fantastic.
Okay, so I'm going with 180 to 200. Stefan?
Realistic, I would probably just choose a normal age. If you choose, like, 200, it's going to be really weird when you're like a 30-year-old and everyone you know is 60 and like, I feel like your relationships would suffer too dramatically.
Yeah, feel like you're a vampire.
So you're not taking it either, Chara?
No, regular life.
And Tron?
I'm going regular life. Somewhere in the 80 to 90 range.
Fine. I'm going to beat you all at volleyball in 40 years.
You will have 100 years of regret. Just, why did I do this? This was so dumb.
Yeah, I'm already at 32, so what's another 70?
Okay.
You can win any competition. Which do you pick? And the caveat of this is you're not instantly the best at whatever it is. You just somehow go on a really good run. You're not necessarily going to be able to repeat it, but you can win any competition in the world once. Which one do you go for?
My mom went right to like the World Series of Poker.
Okay, that would be a good option. You get a bunch of money, and that would be a fun one to have the experience of winning.
Yeah, totally. And then you get those sponsorship deals. You just get to ride it out for the rest of the time.
And with poker, like, even if you're a terrible poker player, you can win the World Series, and you can keep showing up and still be a big name as long as you've won it once, a la Chris Moneymaker.
You're not going to raise any eyebrows in poker, too, because like random people do come along and win every now and again.
Well, yeah, like, you have your pros that are really, really good, like Jamie Gold, and then everyone else.
Okay, sure. Yeah, but if you choose like basketball, whatever, and you come in, say you're me, you're like a lanky, 6 foot tall dude, and all of a sudden you're just crushing, you're going to raise some eyebrows,
That would be such an interesting statistical anomaly, though, of like the basketball season of Stefan, where he won the NBA championship. How did this guy do it? And then the next year he shows up and it's like, this guy can't even shoot.
Damn, why did we sign him for 4 years?
That's true, you probably get some deal.
It's hard to not automatically go to sports when you think competition, but realistically, poker or something that's a singular event that you have to deal with.
Maybe it's winning something like the Nobel Prize of something.
That's true. You could win a Nobel Peace Prize. That's a competition.
Peace Prize or literature, math.
Yeah, a Nobel Prize. I mean,
Just suddenly, I discovered this math thing that no one could ever figure out, but I did. I have nothing to support my claims, but I won it.
There's a problem. There is no Nobel Prize in math.
Oh no, yeah, what's it called?
It's a Fields Medal.
Fields Medal!
A mathematician slept with Alfred Nobel's wife, and he was mad about it. So.
really?
Yeah.
So he spited an award?
Oh, yeah.
That is the best thing I've heard all day.
A whole category of... what's the word? A whole topic? A whole subject. No mathematics award. Screw you.
Even though there's like a Nobel Prize for everything else?
Yeah.
Kind of want that Spite Award now.
Spiting an entire group of people for the problem that he had with one is a great way to spite somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What if I chose Miss Universe pageant?
Yeah?
Out of left field somehow. Stefan takes it.
Yeah, you could pick Miss Universe if you wanted to.
And we got Steve Harvey in there. He says the woman first. And then everyone's like, oh, yeah, of course the woman won. And then, he's like...
Sorry, I read the wrong name.
Stefan standing there in his ball gown, accepting the award.
Who, me?
And I get to say anything because I know I'm going to win. I'm just like, all right, suck it, world.
Yep.
I got this.
Miss Universe. It'd be good to win, like, an Olympic gold medal, too. I always feel like the highest accolades are, like, Nobel Peace Prize and Olympic gold medal. Like, the things that are kind of rare. Or, like, a soccer World Cup would be really good, too.
Yeah.
Things that a lot of people care about.
Here, can I win men's soccer World Cup?
Yeah, you can win any competition.
There we go. I think that would get me a lot of international...
You could also win, like, a reality show if you wanted to. You could win, like, The Bachelor or The Amazing Race.
Sure, you could. Why would anyone pick that? It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard not to think of, like, gaining money, but realistically, if you beat... Say if you just showed up and beat Usain Bolt in the 100-meter, your name would always be above his unless somebody else came along.
Of all of sports, the 100-meter final at the Olympics is the most exciting sports event because it's 10 seconds.
It's true. And then for the rest of the time, you'd always be invited back. So every 4 years you show up, you jog that...
Disappoint
and
everyone.
With a hot dog in your mouth for fun.
You don't get invited back. Don't you have to compete to qualify for Olympics?
For the Olympics, you'd have to compete to qualify, but people would always be challenging you to a race.
Yeah.
That's true. And you're just like, nah, not today. Today I choose not to run.
Oh, you totally do the Seinfeld thing. I choose not to run. And you would never run again for the rest of your life.
Why don't, like, no, here, race this horse for no apparent reason. Nope, I choose not to run.
There's a lot of great options here, really. It's hard not to make money with this. There's not much better you can do for yourself than make money. Yes, you can get prestige, but anything that's extremely prestigious also comes with a bunch of money.
Or you could be like Bob Dylan. He won the Nobel for Literature for his writing, and then he just never showed up and never came for it. He's like, never mind, I don't care.
Why would you pick that then?
Well, I'm just saying, like, you can win it and do nothing with it.
I'm going to go with Formula One.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Formula One because it'll be the biggest single payout without being on a team. Because you'd automatically get a bunch of sponsors. You'd get a ton of money. That would last a while, right? Especially if you just came from nowhere and started destroying people.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Formula One. There's a lot of money in that sport, in that race
Okay,
specifically.
well, here's a question. What competition would have the biggest purse? Biggest single prize? Do you think it is Formula One?
It's got to be close.
The biggest purse in a single sport, I don't know how much Formula One drivers get, but it would probably be a boxer.
Actually, yeah.
Boxers get like $100 million a match. When it's like when the Floyd Mayweather and was it Pacquiao was the big one, or was it another one?
If you're Floyd Mayweather, I mean, that's different. If you're a general boxer, I mean, 20 to 40 million for a massive title fight is pretty normal.
But then you have to get punched in the head. It doesn't mean you're going to win that contest without taking any damage.
The thing is, I mean, if you're that good, you could slip the first punch that he throws and knock him out in one.
Okay, yeah, because like realistically, in order for the likes of us to win this, one hit we'd be down. So you probably winning without taking any hits whatsoever.
Yeah, your amazing.
Suddenly, you're One Punch Man.
Well, your amazing thing would be that he'd walk in and slip into your fist and go, "Hey, world champ, I did it!"
And then immediately retire, because people would be pushing for a rematch. Obviously,
You would probably get some like gang activity on you, like for rigging the fight. It'd be
People would never believe it.
Is it like you don't have to qualify for it? Or is
No,
it, you're doing you started the lowest and suddenly you're on this amazing run. It takes about a year or something and then you qualify.
Yeah, you just go on a great run. Like if you decide to win the Super Bowl, you have to play that entire NFL season in the playoffs, and you just had a really good season somehow and you won the championship.
Or you could be like the backup quarterback and win the Super Bowl in the last game.
no one's going to remember you. Nobody knows that Jeremy Lin just won an NBA title.
Yeah, it's true. You probably don't want to pick some big team sport.
No, I'm going with singular sport.
yeah. You want more glory attached to specifically
Exactly.
you.
You could have something like you win an Oscar.
Yep, you could win an Oscar. You could
Just
have
suddenly now before your name you're always going to be Oscar winner.
and you could be an Oscar for whatever you want. You could be the best writer, best director. So you could make the best movie of the year. Like,
Doesn't that automatically kind of bring up your stock in Hollywood too? Like all of a sudden you get your pay grade goes up pretty significantly
Oh,
if,
massively.
if you have an Oscar.
Yeah.
So then for every movie that you appear in and just phone it in after that, you're automatically getting paid like $20 million a pop, right?
That one's such a good one because it's so hard. It's so intangible to see that someone has declined so much in quality. If you're like the director.
yeah, they just be like, "Oh, he's ahead of the curve. This guy's so artsy."
You could easily get people to finance your future movies, having won an Oscar.
That's true.
It doesn't really matter nearly as much that you know what the heck you're doing the next year.
Or directors would be going after you like they're like, no, I need Stefan. If I don't have Stefan, by the way, you're a single name now. If I don't have Stefan, I'm not making this movie. He costs like 2/3 of our budget, but screw it, we have to have that guy.
Exactly.
And then it would always be everyone else's fault when the movie was bad.
Exactly.
You could just blame everyone else. Like, well, clearly I'm good at this,
Yeah.
but
The writing was terrible,
Yeah.
but Stefan was on point.
And that way you'd have something really that stays with you the rest of your
there's
life.
no
A
way it
litany of heinous movies you direct.
Yeah.
Just with the biggest names. Oh, that'd be glorious.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good, actually. That would be continual dividends.
Yeah.
So final thoughts. What are we all going to go with? Tron?
I'm going to leave it because I didn't think of it, but I'm going to go with Formula One. It's a good way to make a lot of money for a decent amount of time.
Chara?
Probably Nobel Prize for literature or something. I wrote something that was really good. People enjoyed it, but I can still remain somewhat anonymous.
Stefan?
I do really like my initial answer of the World Series of Poker, but I like this director thing too. I might give that a shot. I think it's more interesting.
And me personally, even though I didn't specifically bring it up, I thought about it after, I would win the gold medal in the Olympics for bobsled. Because I got a slight tryout for the Olympic bobsled team at one time, and it's my biggest regret that I didn't make it.
So sad. Now you're relegated to making podcasts.
Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for listening to the On Pointless podcast. If you want to stay up to date with all of our latest releases, you can follow us on Facebook, and you can submit questions to the podcast or any of our various media sources. Thanks again for listening. Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
See ya.